Great Debaters Contest is brought to you by Safaricom M-Pesa. The Great Debaters Contest 2016 registration is now open. Teachers or school administrations should register on www.greatdebaterscontest.com/register.
The sun is out on this gorgeous day in Nakuru region. We hope that our debaters can rival the brightness of the sun. Welcome to the show, the Great Debaters Contest. I am your host, Mariam Bashar.
And I am Austin Yumbok. The motion today is a cashless economy leads to better management of inflation. We have Nyakiambi girls versus Molo Academy boys. Who will be the victor?
Proposer number 1, you have 3 minutes.
No doubt, our modern society is gradually catching the cashless syndrome. As stated by Graham Hinges, a banker and co-inventor of Modex, that cashless means will help to reduce the burden of counting, storing, as well as security associated with physical cash. And to my first point, it is a convenient method of payment, whereby if you have the business people and you are the customers, you'll be able to pay the business people at the right time, and this will help to manage their businesses. And after managing their businesses, they will have no reason to hike the prices of their goods, and this will end up managing inflation. It is also a method of preventing stockpiling of money in homes. Let's take, for instance, we had an incident in our country on 20th December 2015, whereby we had a grandson attacking the grandparent because of stockpiling the money in their house. But if we had the cashless means, there is no way the grandson would have the access to the money. And to my second point, it is a method that ensures there is no dangers of carrying money all around. Let's take, for instance, you have a business and it's a large business, and you'll have the urge to transport your money. You'll end up having a courier service, e.g. the G4S and the Wells Fargo, to transport your money. And in the process, you don't know if the money will get to the place that you want in safe hands. Because nowadays in our modern society, it is not easy to identify the people who are trustworthy that you can entrust your money to for transportation. And this will lead to some of the employees to get access and steal your money. But even if they steal your money, that time that they'll take to investigate on the issue concerning how the money disappeared, you'll have gotten, between that period of time, you'll have made a lot of profit. But because you're using the cash on hand, the liquid cash, you'll not have that burden of transporting the money. And to my third point, unless a receipt is issued on payment, there'll be no proof that you had the payment. And this will lead to increase in prices of goods and services. Let's take, for instance, you are using the cards, the ATM cards. You'll have the money because you'll pay easily, because there'll be a record on how you have used your money. Thank you.
First proposer, you have 3 minutes for your opening statements.
Timothy Ngatia, representing Molo Academy, referring to the motion that a cashless society leads to better management of inflation. Now, first of all, let's understand the basics of a cashless society. It refers to plastic money or virtual money, M-Pesa, MasterCard, credit cards, and debit cards, and what have you. Let me begin off when you talk of fraud and embezzlement, identity theft. Let me use a case study of the United States of America. In 2014, 47% of Americans experienced identity theft. That was a 63% increase from the last time such a report was compiled. 7% of companies and corporations recorded losses of up to $1 million. In total, the US government released a statement at the end of 2014 that cybercrimes accounted for the loss of up to $18 billion alone. $18 billion in Kenyan currency, that's around 1.8 trillion. It's an entire economy of Kenya. Or given the last report, it's thereabout. Now imagine a scenario where a particular Kenyan citizen steals that entire sum of money, or several Kenyans steal several little amounts of money until it amounts to 1.8 trillion. It's a recipe for disaster. Introduction of 1.8 trillion to the economy is just like the government minting such an amount of money without informing the citizens. Once you have an excess amount of money and no goods to purchase, that's just inflation, clear and simple. And secondly, what guarantee do we have that if you introduce a cashless society that will actually be reducing inflation? We all know that in Kenya, that Kenya is in fact one of the most corrupt countries in the world. The reason why inflation is such a demon to the citizens of Kenya is because of things like corruption, mismanagement, complacency, and such like things. It's just because people don't stand up and take responsibility, in particular, the people who run this country. We have had a scenario where a particular minister dared to amass the audacity that a computer error added a zero to a certain figure. You're leaving a deficit in the ministry. How are we supposed to cover up for this deficit? Sorry for that. Simply put, introducing virtual money, plastic money, and such like things, debit cards and credit cards, you will not actually be solving the problem. You're just trying to run away from the problem. What guarantee do you have that if you stole it when it was liquid money, it won't be stolen when it's virtual money? You're lying to yourself. You're trying to solve a problem that is not actually there. We need to own up, fix this country, fix the politicians, and fix these people who are bringing this country to its knees. Thank you.
Cross-examinations now. Proposers, you have 3 minutes.
They refer to me as Mary Murimi from Nyakiambi Girls. I would like to strongly propose the motion that says a cashless economy has led to better management of inflation. On my first view, business people may tend to evade taxation. Some business people may tend to lie to the government on their amount of income in their business. Let's take, for instance, I'm a Mtumba seller. It's very possible for me to lie to the government about the income that I get. But when we use these credit cards, it will be very, very simple for the government to trace me on the amount of income that I get. If all the business people are able to pay taxes, the inflation will be reduced, and this will help in managing inflation. On my second view, adverse effects on the balance of payment. I simply mean balance of payment is the payment made for the import is equal to the cash that we receive from the exports. Use of the cashless makes the country export more and import less. But use of the cash makes the country export less and import more. Let's take, for instance, I want to import a car from Germany. The car will reach in Mombasa, let's say 1.2 million. But when I'll be receiving the car, it will be 4 to 3 million there. And this will increase the inflation. But when we use the credit card, the car will reach to me definitely in 1.2 million. The price will not be hiked because we have the credit cards. Once a wise man said, there is no time like the present. Now is the time to do something, not in the future. I simply mean it's the time to start using credit cards and not cash money. Thank you.
Opposition will hear your rebuttal. You have 3 minutes as well.
In my school, they call me John Deng. But for you, as an African man, you can see for yourself, call me Deng. A cashless society leads to better management of inflation. Let's take a scenario of unemployment here in Kenya. I'll talk of countries that have introduced a cashless society in this world. First, in our continent, let's talk of Nigeria. The rate of unemployment as compared in the first quarter of 2014 was 4%. With the introduction of a cashless society, as they say, the rate of unemployment increased to 7.5%. Ask yourself, what is that? Has the cashless society helped Nigeria people? We are in a situation that my opponents have talked, introduction of ATM, removal of the G4S. How will those people feel when they are unemployed? The person who could have worked in form of an ATM, going back home, the rate of unemployment increases. As that kid, the father, the mother has been unemployed. The situation that they will be in is terrible. Let me relate this to inflation. Once the people in a country have been employed, we see that the economy, you will have reduced their purchasing power, hence there will be demand from them, but there are no resources to purchase. What have we done? We are moving in a centrifugal economy, just surrounding ourselves and nothing we are doing. So, in this situation, there will be nothing happening in this country. As we take in Kenya, rates of unemployment also was 12.7%. And now, that was in 2006, and now it's 40%. Ask yourself, what is happening with our economy? Introduction of a cashless society? Maybe. But let me say this. With this situation, there's nowhere we are moving. With this situation, there will be a lot of poverty. With this situation, there will be crime. And who said so? That the idea of introducing inflation rates should not be on the transforming the society in a cashless society. Once we are in that situation, there will be no purchasing of goods. Definitely, let me convince you so. There will be no at all. And in that situation, there's nothing that will happen to our economy. We'll be just standard there, no increase, no decrease. But with unemployment, there will be increase in inflation. And what we are trying to do is to reduce it. Thank you.
The Great Debaters Contest 2016 registration is now open. Teachers or school administrations should register on www.greatdebaterscontest.com/register. The Great Debaters Contest 2016 registration is now open. Teachers or school administrations should register on www.greatdebaterscontest.com/register.
The proposers have been asked how liquid money helps to decrease imports while at the same time increasing the level of exports. And the opposition have been challenged to give proof on how a cashless economy leads to less production of goods. Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes.
I will be answering your question. You asked that if you are using liquid money, how is it that the country tends to export less and import more? This is because when we look at the currency exchange rates, right? If we look at the Eurobonds, for example, they had risen that Eurobond from to 106, right? But if we were to use the credit card, the prices would have already been set. Because as we know, the country has foreign accounts, right? Because if we were to use those foreign accounts, we'll be able to we would get information on the amount of goods, on the prices of goods that we are supposed to import, right? Thus, we would be able to control the cash that we are using. And I'll be seconding my colleague, the first proposer. She didn't get the chance to explain what a cashless economy and what inflation clearly means. A cashless economy is an environment in which money is spent without being physically carried from one person to another, whereas inflation is continuous increase in prices, yet the supply of those goods are less in supply. On to my first point, queuing for deposits in banks, especially in African countries, it can be dealt with using cashless. During the 1960s, as we all know, there was this post bank. You would have to queue for long, right? And during that queuing, you get tired and you don't get the money that you're supposed to withdraw. But using this cashless economy, you can easily, from your living room, you can easily pay school fees. For example, the KCB has introduced KCB Mtaani, which makes it easier for a common mwananchi like you and me to be able to pay for school fees right from our living rooms, right? It will save government on cost of printing, distributing, and handling large volume of cash. As we all know, 70% of the money circulation in a country like Nigeria exists outside the banking system, right? We find that those Nigerians, they don't have access to that cashless economy. They can be able to save on that cost, right? Because, as we all know, the 70% of money circulation in Nigerian economy is outside the banking system. Thank you.
Third opposer, you have 3 minutes to respond to the audience.
You can call me Makori Arena, a village scrivener. We are talking about a cashless society leads to better management of resources. I'm here to shoot down this motion. Let us start on the first point, the illiteracy levels in this country. I'll stick my guns back at home. I'm talking about counties like Turkana, Lamu, and Mandera. What is the literacy levels in these counties? The literacy levels in Turkana, Mandera, and Lamu are below 30%. You know what I'm talking about? 30% are the only people who are learned, 70% are not learned. These are camel herders. These are people who are supposed to stick to the religion of herding camels. How are you going to sell the policy that you're supposed to turn your money from a cash society to a cashless society? How will this help this person? For us to change to bring down the inflation rates, we're not supposed to hide behind the things that we are supposed to change our currency from hard cash to soft cash. I'll give an example. Nigeria is in Africa. Nigeria started the cashless economy way back in 2013. Their inflation rate was at 8.5. This year, January 2016, what is the inflation rate in Nigeria? A guess from the public? 9.6. We are seeing the rate is rising instead of going down. So if you're going to adopt a cashless society, we are not going to necessarily translate to a situation whereby the inflation rates are going to move down. The inflation rates are going to rise. And on to my second point before time is up. The government corporate control over a monetary policy. We have a cash society. Who are the people who control our monetary policy? This is the CBK. And the CBK have the opportunity or the mandate to make sure that they develop something that helps us. So if you're going to change the society from a cash-oriented society to a cashless-oriented society, we are only going to make the parameters that cause inflation to mold. For example, what are the causes of inflation? They are not in the form of that the cash is in form of hard cash, so that we move it to the soft cash. The causes of inflation are bad governance, poor monetary policies. So if you're going to say that we want to bring down the rates of inflation, let us not move back to the bushes. Let us directly deal with these parameters. So to make the proposal of the motion, I urge you to move to our side so that we help deal with this situation instead of playing blame games of saying we should turn our society from a cash-oriented society to a cashless society. And I should urge the audience to move with me so that we may deal with these parameters that cause inflation and not hide behind that we should move from a cashless society to a cash society to a cashless society. Thank you.
We'll hear closing statements. Proposers, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. I go by the name Vanessa Kamau from Nyakiambi Girls. I would like to correct the first opposer. You talked of embezzlement and identity theft. As we all know, right now, currently in the economy, there is installation of biometric operation machines, which deals with working with fingerprints. Right now, can you openly tell me, look at your hand and compare it with your neighbors? Do you want to tell me that your fingerprints are the same with your neighbors? No. Thus, it will be easy to detect if you are the real account holder or not. As I conclude, convincing or conspiring, you decide, but a cashless economy is here to stay. Thank you.
Opposition, you have a minute as well for your closing statement.
Ladies and gentlemen, since I want to be back one more time to reiterate the essence, or rather how it beats logic just to switch from liquid money to hard money, I'll say this. Switching to cashless economy is losing so much. There is no need to take hungry boys and girls, hungry citizens, uneducated citizens, to take them back to class just so you can teach them how to use a plastic card or how to press buttons on their phone just so they can withdraw or deposit money. I tell you one last time, the strength of this country is not built on what type of money we use or what form our cash is. It's just simple decisions. If your signature was the one required to turn this country around into something, into a force to reckon with on earth, would you risk the lives of men and women, the education, just to take them to school so they can learn? Risk several people losing their jobs? Or do you stick to what we have and fix the country and leave it with something? Create your own legacy. Thank you.
Nyakiambi girls, first problem was on deconstructing the motion. You know, when you're given the motion, try to look at the key terms in the motion. Here we are talking about a cashless economy. We are looking at inflation. And Anne, you're the first speaker. I expected to hear the definition of some of these key terms. What is inflation? In fact, you forced me to go back to my dictionary and find for myself what inflation is. And I'm supposed to be educated by you, Anne. That means that you did not do a fairly good job as a first speaker. Explain what a cashless economy is. Tell us how will it better manage the economy. So you just based your arguments on the benefits of cashless economy, the aspect of convenience, the aspects of security, and the same thing Mary talked about, the aspect of tax evasion, which still did not address the motion. To me, the person who addressed the motion was Vanessa, and it's like the debate began with her, you know, when she was building a case for a team. So it was like she was acting alone. Possibly what you can do as a team is see how to create a team, understand the motion, because her understanding of the motion means that it could have spread to the other team members. So for your team, deconstructing emotion was a problem. Execution, therefore, became a problem because motion wasn't understood. And examples were also wanting, especially examples from Anne and Mary. Mary, your two examples were wanting, but Vanessa's examples were good. See how to build a team. It was a learning experience, and you did a fairly good job.
For Molo Academy, you guys are good. Are you taught like communication skills and public speaking? Because you guys are so strong. Timothy, you almost sound like the school principal. You'd scare me at a corridor, you know? Well done. Keep that up. And to all of you, really there was a lot of confidence and coherent points came out. But for John Deng, at one point you swallowed your words. You swallowed. That was like, what did he say? We even tried to ask ourselves. So always make sure you've got good articulation and you slow down. Make sure we can hear every word that you're saying. Brian, strong voice, strong communication skills. And I like the fact that out of them all, you're the one who brought up the points on the causes of inflation. That was very good.
The results are in. The judges awarded Nyakiambi girls with 64%. Please give them a round of applause. Molo Academy boys, you were awarded 74%. You're our winners for the debate.
Thank you to both teams for entertaining us, and of course, bravo to Molo Academy for taking the day. Thank you for tuning in and taking the time to watch us. Follow us on social media for more information. On Twitter, we are at Great Debaters EA. I have been your host, Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Yumbok. Catch you next time.
The Great Debaters Contest 2016 registration is now open. Teachers or school administrations should register on www.greatdebaterscontest.com/register. The Great Debaters Contest was brought to you by Safaricom M-Pesa.